Hey, this is Mariela from the Functional Company. All right, today I want to talk about feasting before fasting, especially when we get into this 1 day fasting or 3 days, 5-day fasting or longer. I think a great thing to do and something that really sets you up to be able to successfully do a longer period of fasting is to have 1 day or at least half a day where you're feasting before you fast. Now remember that our ancestors would do this, right? They didn't have refrigerators. They would go and hunt, they'd come back and they would feast. And nobody felt guilty about feasting because you're using up the entire animal, right? But after that period of feasting, there was a period of fasting, just natural fasting because there was no animal left and they did not have refrigerators. All right, so those were our ancestors. The reason I mention that is because our physiology, or the way our body works, the way our cells function, is largely related to the way that our bodies have been trained over a long period of time. And this is dependent on how our ancestors used to function, right? So this is one important thing. So one great important thing to think with in order to actually be successful at a longer period of fasting is to feast before you fast. Feasting before fasting is very important. So that means making sure that you have plenty of protein and plenty of fats before you're actually going into the feast, all right? You could even have a little bit more carbohydrates than you usually do, but the most important thing is going to be the protein and the fat, especially the fat, before you go ahead and do the fasting period, right? Of course, we want to stay hydrated and have those minerals, but remember that fats also help to transport those minerals inside of the cells to keep us hydrated. So feasting before fasting is very important. So now this shouldn't be confused with saying every time you're going to do 12 hours of fasting, you're going to do a huge feast, because that's basically saying every day you're just going to eat a bunch of food. So the 12 hours is just the minimum that we keep in order to make sure that our metabolism does not slow down. What I'm talking about is more like a 1 day fast or longer, where you want to really have a good sense of feeling satisfied. So whether it's 1 meal or 2 meals or 3 meals, the entire day or half a day, or at the very minimum 1 meal before you actually fast, you want to have a good feast. Really enjoy the meal and have as many nutrients as you can so your body is satisfied, and then it's very easy to go ahead and do an entire day of fasting or longer. All right, so that's the main tip for today that I want to mention regarding fasting. The feasting before fasting is actually a great thing to do. And I think it's a very, not only is it natural, but it's something that people feel more willing to do it, instead of just keeping a very strict diet where you have to keep everything away. You just actually have a time when you can feast. It feels so nourishing to feast and then fast. It feels very natural and it feels good for the body. So you could try it out if you want to, and I would love to know what you think. Definitely, if you've tried it before or you do it, I would love to know. If you leave a message in the comments, I would love that. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you on the flip side.